Updating you on the breaking news that we had for you earlier, there's been a powerful series of aftershocks that have hit central Italy. This happened just a couple of hours ago. It's knocked out power in areas and some places as far as Rome, which is about 150 kilometers from the center of where this aftershock first occurred. People are able to feel those aftershocks. There's been power that's been knocked out, as we've said. Let's get you straight to Sabina Castelfranco. She's a CBS News reporter. She's in Rome. She could feel the aftershocks. Sabina, what do you know? What have you felt? What have you seen?
Well, there have been 3 quakes in the last few hours. The last one very not long ago, and it was felt very strongly. That was 5.9. Initially, they reported that it was over 6.3 magnitude shock, but then they said it was 5.9. It was felt very clearly here. The ones before were the first one 5.4. Then there was another one that came down a bit. It sent people in a total panic here. People are concerned. It's only been 2 months since a major quake in the same area in central Italy killed 300 people. So a lot of people fled out into the streets. So far, however, there's been little report of damage. Only 2 injured reported from falling rubble. The weather conditions are not helping matters. In fact, they're hampering the situation. It's very cold in the affected areas. Not only that, but it has been raining very heavily. No report of victims at this point, but of course this could change overnight, and obviously people are scared that there could be more aftershocks.
Sabina, we know, as you mentioned, just 2 months ago in the town of Amatrice, it was hit by these earthquakes. Just this area that you were talking about just now is about 40 miles north of that area, Amatrice. We know that Italian Prime Minister Matteo Renzi was here at the White House at a state dinner last week. What has he said about the power of these quakes? Has he come out to address the country yet?
He has not come out to address the country quite yet, but he is following the situation, we're told. The Civil Defense Department is also following very carefully. It is expected that there's going to be assessment of any damage throughout the night and obviously tomorrow. The hope is, of course, that there will be no more aftershocks, because people are feeling very jittery, very uneasy, concerned that this is just the new beginning of more quakes.
Can you help us understand why Italy? Has there been concern after the Amatrice quake just a few weeks ago? What has been the mood in the country?
Well, I mean, what happened in Amatrice left everybody shocked. That was a beautiful town nestled in central Italy, and it was completely brought to rubble. The whole town practically collapsed. Beautiful buildings, and people here are concerned about what is happening in central Italy. It is not the first time that these quakes occur in the area. We remember Assisi, we remember L'Aquila a few years ago, and there another 300 people were killed. I mean, this is an area, central Italy, that is prone to quakes. There is a fault along the Apennine Hills, and it makes people very uneasy, because they know that they live in an earthquake-prone area where many of the homes have not been built according to the right criteria that is needed in an area that is prone to earthquakes.
And Sabina, that's the question, I guess, that for a lot of people who are hearing the news of this earthquake so soon after the last quake killed so many people, that these homes, some of these structures are not earthquake proof. Is there anything on the horizon that will sort of change that?
Well, I think there certainly is a lot on the horizon that is going to change that. Measures are being taken to avoid that something like this ever happens again, that people that are living in these areas, in these small towns, can find their towns flattened. It's not going to be allowed anymore, and certain measures have been taken also to avoid mafia infiltration. This government is certainly very concerned that reconstruction is done in a very different way as to how, compared to how it was done in the past.
Sabina, we're just showing our viewers right now a map. The red area is the center of those aftershocks. You are in Rome. Our viewers can see that's sort of at the bottom of the screen there. What did you feel in Rome?
Well, in Rome, at the time that this last tremor occurred, I was inside a building and I could feel the tremor very, very clearly. Not only that, but I could see the lights, sway on top of my head. So it was felt very, very strongly. But I know of other people who have actually felt, their beds completely move from side to side. So in Rome, in different parts of Rome, it was certainly felt very, very strongly.
And we know this attack, we should point out, as you can see from the video, it's nighttime there now. The first quake happened at about 7:10 p.m. local time. You can imagine how disconcerting this can be for people who are just trying to go to bed right now. Sabina, we know that from the Amatrice quakes, that these are older buildings that are not up to code. So what is the advice that people are hearing in Italy?
Well, the advice is certainly that if they feel this happens, certainly go out into the street or make sure that you are in an open area, or if you are in your home, stand underneath the doors. Take care is the big word around here, but certainly try to avoid being inside a home. That's not the right place to be. Certainly if you have a home that is not quake-proof.
Sabina, we know that power has been knocked out in some of the areas that felt this aftershock very strongly. What are you hearing about when that will be restored, when people will start to feel some level of comfort?
Well, there is no power in some areas in some of these towns. Not only there is no electricity, but also the phone lines are down. So that makes people even more uneasy. It will require a little bit of time until that power and those phone lines, are made good again. Maybe they will have to spend the night without power.
And when you talk about this area, can you just remind us again, how has the cleanup and the recovery efforts been for the town of Amatrice, where 300 people were killed just 2 months ago?
Well, the recovery operation there was unbelievable. The Civil Protection Department, the institution, the volunteers that showed up very, very quickly to the area did some incredible work. They cleaned up the area very fast. They picked up the rubble. They brought in bulldozers and all sorts of heavy earth-moving equipment, and managed to clean up and organize and set up tent cities for these people who were left homeless very, very quickly indeed. They were providing shelter, they were providing food, they were providing water. Really, within 24 hours, a lot of work had been done, and people were very well looked after. So this is not what we're expecting at this time with this quake. It does not appear that there has been such extensive damage as what happened 2 months ago.
Yeah, the U.S. Geological Survey says the depth is about 7 miles, which to them is pretty shallow. It's not as extensive. But have you heard of any injuries or any deaths at this point? I know it's just sort of breaking right now.
At this point, yes, it is still breaking, of course. And at this point, we've only heard of 2 injuries, 2 people that were injured that were in their homes due to falling rubble, but no victims yet. But as I say, it's still too early to say. I mean, the assessment will continue throughout the night, and there could be reports of other injuries. It is expected that there probably are.
All right. Sabina Castelfranco, our CBS News reporter there in Rome.